means you about to make a killing. Fuck the hater, you don't care about the way they feeling.
Won't stop till you big willin'. Can't stop till you lose the ceiling.
Pop a bottle, celebrate another win on them. Toss the dollars if you got them, go and spend on them. Cause it ain't nothing when you winning, yeah.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube? I would like to say thank you for joining me on the first official episode of Sound Sense Academy. This is brand new for me. I've never taught anything before. So, you know, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve as I'm adjusting and you're adjusting. But we're going to get it together. So first and foremost, I like to say I've not been classically trained at a school for any of this stuff. This is just things that I have learned over the past 20 years of mixing and mastering and doing some other stuff, because I might toss some other stuff on here like my videography techniques and, you know, just anything that I do. So I do a lot. I am audio engineer at a major studio down here in San Diego called Impressive Sound Studio. I'm also a producer, so I make beats. I'm also a videographer, and my main passion is music. I'm an artist. Some of y'all may know that, some of y'all may not. But basically, I got to a point where it's just like I just kind of want to share some of the information that I know. A lot of people who come to the studio are constantly asking me when I'm gonna run a course on this. They'd love to learn. You know, just basically letting me know that they're interested in finding out more about audio engineering. And I think that's a great thing, because as artists, especially in today's industry, you need to be able to take responsibility for as many aspects of your own personal career as possible. The labels are doing less and less and expecting more and more. So it's just a smart idea to try and learn as much as you can. And even if you are in a position where you can afford constant studio time and stuff like that, at the very least, then you understand the principles of how that whole system works, so that if there's something you don't like, you could say exactly what it is and you know, explain exactly how you would like it corrected. So yeah, this is gonna be cool. First and foremost, I am dealing today with the Pro Tools operating system. So I don't know what system you guys are working on. You may be working on Fruity Loops. You may be working on Logic. You may be working on whatever. But as long as you are able to have external plugins on that program, we'll be able to work together. Secondly, the plugin platform that I use is called Waves. You know, if you're familiar with the engineering game, this is the top-notch plugin distributor. There is nobody better. All of the best plugins come from Waves. So I will include a link below where you can go and subscribe for a small monthly fee. It's actually not that expensive, and you can get all the plugins that you need to work alongside with me as I go through a lot of this. Outside of that, I'll be explaining the principles behind the plugins that I'm using. So even if you do not have the exact same plugins, you will be able to use the plugins that you have to create not the exact sound, but a similar sound, because quality does matter. So try and get that Waves kit as soon as possible. If you're working on Pro Tools, it's a lot better, because then you'll, you know, we're comparable, and you'll be able to understand exactly how I walk you through these things. So firstly, today I want to start with the basics, which is just basically setting up your template. Your template is the way that Pro Tools appears when you open it up, and how it's set up to record. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so let's start by opening up the program. You're gonna come down to your Pro Tools logo or your Fruity Loops or whatever else you have, Logic, whatever, right? I can only tell you how to set this part up from the position of Pro Tools. So if you don't have Pro Tools, I apologize. You're going to be lost. Not too much I can do about it. Try and get the program. So when you open Pro Tools, you'll be presented with 4 options, which is create, which is where you create your new your new session. Then there's recent, which will tell you all of the sessions that you've recently worked on, projects, that's some other shit. So what we're dealing with today is create. So what we're gonna do is create our basic template. All right, I'm not gonna walk you through what plugins to put just yet. We're just going through the basics of how to set up your template so that everything passes through in the right direction and everything is going to the right place. All right, so first of all, you're going to come to name. You're going to name your track, let's say Sound Sense Academy template. All right, sometimes this is clicked. You're going to want to unclick that because you want a completely blank template to work off of. Right down here is your location. This is where you say where you want your files stored. So you know you can come here and create your own little file folder wherever in documents or wherever you want to put it, and create your own little folder where all of your sessions will be saved. All right, so I already have mine selected, so then we're just gonna click create. Right, boom, it opens up. It's blank, ain't shit there. That's cool. What you're gonna want to do is hit command and the equal sign. That will switch you to the recording view. All right, in your recording view, you are going to go to the top and you are going to go to track, and you're going to add your first track. Now this is going to be your vocal track. This is going to be where you will be putting your vocals. This is where you're going to be putting your voice, right? So you never want your vocals to be recorded in stereo, always mono. All right, so you could create as many tracks as you want. Say you want 1 audio track or 10 audio tracks or 3 audio tracks or 103. Right now, for now, we're just going to create 1. All right, mono. All right, and it has a couple different options here. Stereo. You're not going to deal with any of these ever, I guess, until you get into the super advanced stages. And as advanced as I am, I have never used any of these in my entire life. So safe to say you probably won't either. So yeah, like I said, everything you want to record in mono when it comes to vocals. So leave that as mono. You're going to make sure that it's an audio track. There's several different options: routing folder, basic folder, right? We'll get to these down the line in the future when necessary. But for right now, your audio track is always going to be the tracks where you're recording your vocals. All right. So If it's vocals, always click audio track. All right, you leave that as samples, and you don't have to name it. You could just, or if you do want to name it, you can name it, say, lead vocal, right? And click create. Boom. So now you are officially a audio engineer. Psych. But this is a great start and the beginning of everything that you need to learn. All right. So that being said, this is the track, as I mentioned before, where you will be putting your vocals. Inserts are where you put your plugins. So any noise reductions, compressors, EQs, and if everything that I'm saying sounds like science to you, rocket science, don't worry. Trust me, it's not as complicated as it seems. You will figure this out and you will get it quickly. So these are for the inserts, that's what you choose for your plugins. Sends are something that we'll get to later on down the line. I don't want to give you too much information and confuse the fuck out of you. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is add a vocal bus track. Now, a vocal bus track is basically where, let me set it up first, because I don't want to try and explain it to you without seeing it first. All right, so you're going to go back up to the top, go to track, go to new, one, create one track. This one is always going to be stereo. And this is the track that all of your vocals will get routed through. So each of your vocals can have their own plugins and their own personal twists. And then the bus is where you push all of the vocals through and have those effects on the bus applied to everything. And I know it sounds crazy right now, but like I said, just be patient. It will all make sense soon. All right. So here you're going to go to auxiliary input instead of audio track. All right. So click auxiliary input, leave it on samples. And here you're going to want to name this vocal bus. Right. And just click create. All right. So we're on our way, guys. So now, for every vocal track that you open up, you want all of those vocal tracks to have their own effects, probably very minimal. Like, I'll show you example. So one of the first things you're going to want to put on is the noise reduction, right? So now this track right here, I'm going to route to this track. Routing just means I'm going to send the sound from one to the other, right? And yeah, and then on this track, I may have a bunch of different things like, let's see, GW voice centric. And I'm just gonna throw a compression on here just to give you a visual idea of what would be taking place, right? All right, so here we go. Now this part is very, very important because you're gonna want to set it up so that the vocals, all of your vocals, run through this vocal bus. In order to do that, you have to set where the vocal bus is being represented, and I will show you what I mean. So you're going to go over here, you're going to click this one, you're going to go down to bus, and you're going to click one of these options. right? So we'll just go with verse 1 for this one. And boom, see? Now this vocal bus is set as verse 1. Now how you tell this track, that main audio track, to send all of their sound signatures to this track is you come to the one below up here, click it, go down the bus, and you'll see highlighted all of the tracks that have been assigned as bus tracks. So right now we only have one, and that was verse 1, right? So we're gonna click that, and so now this lead vocal is now being routed through the vocal bus, right? And I should have probably included some type of sample vocal so that you guys could understand. So shout out Wotree. This is a client that I work with regularly with mixing and mastering. He comes to me for his mixing and mastering, and I help him out, right? So we're just gonna minimize that, and then we're going to just take this one right here and just slap it in here. And we're not doing anything crazy to it. It's just so that you could see what I'm talking about. And now you can see that on both sides, the signature is showing, right? So up here and down here, right? So I'll show you what happens if you change this, right? Like, for example, if you were just to put this on monitor. You see that? So now it's only playing through this one. It's not being sent to that one. So now you go back and change that back. All right. Now the lead vocal is being routed through the vocal bus. All right. The last thing that you're going to do now is set up a master track. A master track is where everything goes, right? So your audio track is where you put your main vocals, your backup vocals, and you might do slight little tweaks to that individual vocal because there's a different sound that you want for that row of vocals. Then you route it to your vocal bus where you do an overall sound cleaning for the vocals that can apply to all of them, your EQs, all of that good stuff. And then all of that passes through the master channel, the beat, everything. And there you go and you clean the entire song combined and really get it to sparkle and glisten. Everybody who comes to the studio knows my process. Everybody's seen that's the part everybody waits for, because when you get there it really brightens up and brings the track alive, and it just changes the entire feel and sound of the track. So we're gonna get there. So once again, you're gonna go back up to the top. You're gonna click track. You're gonna click new, and once again, you're only gonna have one master track, always. And you're gonna go to stereo. It's always gonna be in stereo. It's gonna be an auxiliary input. Well, no, sorry. It's gonna be a master fader. So that should be very easy to remember. Your master track is gonna be the master fader. All right. You're gonna leave it as samples, and you're gonna leave it as master. If you want to get complicated and change it into some type of, I don't know, space alien symbol, I don't know, whatever, you could do that. But for me, I like leaving things basic, leaving it simple. So that's what we're gonna do. Click create. All right. And now you can move these anywhere you want. Like for example, I can move this one back up here. I just like the master being the last thing on the list because that's how it works. It just helps me keep it organized in my mind. All right. So now everything, if I was to put a beat in here as well, the beat would be playing through the master channel as well. If you wanted to put a beat in, you would go to import. You go to file. Sorry, I don't want to rush past anything. Then go to import. Then go to audio. And then you're just going to find your beat file. And let me try and go back to the same thing. I'm not sure why it's not showing me the files, though. That's a little weird. Well, all right. So if it's doing what that did and not showing you anything at all, you're gonna go to new, and this is what you're gonna do for well, not all of your vocal tracks, but just when you're setting up your template. Like I said, this template is telling you how everything is set up and how everything is going to run. Yeah, so beats are always stereo. Stereo just means left and right. It has a left panning and it has a right panning. So beats, final mixes, anything that's finished will always be in stereo. It will have a left pan and a right pan. Your vocals are the only thing that will ever be in mono. All right. Okay. So here we go. And you're just going to start a stereo track. Make sure it's audio track. Click create. And boom. I mean, you can rename that beat if you want. Beat. You know what I'm saying? We're going to come down here. Blood beat. So here we go. And this is not exactly the beat. This is a mix down of everything. But just to show you real quick, it's going to sound offbeat and weird and shit like that. But I just want to show you. All right. So now, even if you muted this, it would still be moving. But it's not going to move on the vocal bus because your beat does not go through the vocal bus. Please do not send your beat through the vocal bus. You're going to fuck up your entire track. So we got all of that set up now, right? So now your vocals, your lead vocal is going through your bus. Your bus is going into the master. Your beat is going into the master. Everything that you do from this point will go into the master. Now, let's say you want to start another vocal track. Instead of going back up to track and clicking new and doing all that shit and having to set it all up again, what you're going to do is hit control or left click. What is it? Right click on PC? Yeah, right click, I believe. And then you're going to come down here and go to duplicate. You're going to take that off or else it will duplicate the vocals as well. You're going to take this off and you're going to take off automation. And then you're going to hit OK. And now you have another vocal track that's ready for recording. I believe that's pretty much the basics. The next episode, I will get into telling you what plugins you're gonna want to use for each layer. like for your vocals and what type of plugins you're gonna want to use for your vocal bus and what type of plugins you're gonna use on the master. And then we'll start getting into how to use each of those plugins, right? So I'm trying to do this logically. I'm trying to do this step by step. I'm trying to do this from the basics up. And yeah, I think this shit is gonna be crazy because I'm already getting more comfortable, man. I feel like I'm getting in my bag. You feel me? So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this. I just wanted to keep it simple for y'all today. I know this video is probably a little bit long for a concept that's supposed to be simple, but this is the most important part, right? Once you have your template, like say you have this set up and you have your plugins in there and you know how you want everything, or even if you don't have your plugins in there yet, save this template because you're gonna need it again at some point, right? So go up here, go to file, go down to save as template. I will also make this template available for download just in case you guys want to use it later on down the line. I will also provide you a personal basic template that I've made with all of the plugins already listed so that you guys can have something to work off of as well. But yeah, I'm going to try and be as helpful as possible when it comes to stuff like that. Anyhow, so now you're at a save session template. You're going to enter whatever, NEWBIE template. All right. And then say install template in system. You're going to press OK. And now that template is saved. So here is the part where it gets beautiful. You'll never have to set that up again. That is locked in. That's set in stone. But you have to know how to bring it up when you're starting a new session. All right, so we're going to close this down. Well, instead of doing that, let's just go to create new session. So we're going to go to create new session and we're going to call it NEWBIE song. So you're going to come down here and you're going to click create from template. Now that template that you saved is present, right? And you're just going to hit create. Sure, save it. Why not? Just in case I ended up needing it down the line. And there you go. Your template's still there, right? With all your plugins in that you put in originally. Everything is routed properly, so you don't ever have to sweat about that again. You know, it's just the first time setting it up that gets a little tricky. Also, setting up your plugins is going to be essential. So this part, it's cool to save that as a template, but once you start getting an idea of your sound and what you want included in your sound and what plugins you want standard and to always be there and to be set which way, because everybody's vocal profile is different, and you might be able to get away with having a standard setup for most of your songs. You're never going to be able to get away with it for all of them, and I personally don't do that. I always go in and custom tailor every song that I make. I feel like you should do the same, but if you don't feel like putting the effort, you can most definitely fly under the radar with like a basic setup template and just, you know, do your thing. I wouldn't suggest it. I'm just a perfectionist like that though. So, you know, but yeah, once you have all of that set up and you know how you want everything and you have a song that has the setup that you like, once again, you just go up to file, save as template, and it will save all of these tracks and how and the plugins that you had listed on all of the tracks, and that way you could just plug your shit in and get to recording. So there you have it. I know my video cut out a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where. So like I said, we gonna get this together. We gonna figure it out. We gonna get it right. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully y'all got something out of that. And, make sure you come back for all the future episodes. It's going to be a lot of information. Like I said, it's going to keep on going. We're going to keep on growing. Let's get it, baby. You already know what it is. Family, money, everything.
Whoa. You got big dreams, you about to make a killing. Fuck a hater, you don't care about the way they feeling.
Won't stop till you big wheeling. Can't stop till you lose the ceiling.
Pop a bottle, celebrate another win on them. Toss the dollars if you got them, go and spend on them. Cause it ain't nothing when you winning, yeah.